Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne Sportsnet production, available on Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
He started in a small town in Texas. Worked his ass off to become one of the most famous wrestlers of all time.
We're going to take care of business tonight, and that's the bottom line.
And now he's dominating the world of on-demand audio. And he's doing it for the working man.
This is a damn good outlet for me to spew the bullshit off my brain.
Yeah! This is Steve Austin, Unleashed.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I'm coming to you from the main streets. Well, shit, I'm still in Spanish Springs, Nevada. I am on my way tomorrow morning to go out to Humboldt County in Nevada, get on a mule deer hunt. I'm taking care of my reeds, my opens, and all that other bullshit before I get out there in the middle of nowhere because I don't know what my capabilities are. If indeed I do have Wi-Fi, you might hear a different open, which you will never know that I changed the open, but I'm just making sure I got my work done now because if technology down there is the shits, because it's in the middle of nowhere, which is how I'm going to want it. That's how I'm going to like it. So I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I'm off the grid. That's great. If I'm able to send another open because I've got some experience down there and can give you some sights and the lay of the land, I'll cut another open. Right now, I'm fixing to still go take care of all my business down here. And I'm going to keep this open kind of short. My buddy, Ted Fowler 361, and I had a conversation. I was drinking a little bit of Blanton's on the rocks. Ted Fowler was drinking a little bit of Jack and Coke over there in Rockport, Texas. And we're just shooting the breeze, and we're talking about the good old days of the ranch, and we're answering the questions that you guys sent in to my email address, questions@steveaustinshow.com. Ted and I laughing our asses off, having a good time. I hope you enjoy this podcast. As you are listening to this podcast, I will be out in the middle of nowhere, just out there in the woods looking for a mule deer, and I'm looking forward to it. So before I get to Ted Fowler 361 on my Skype call answering questions that you sent in, I got to give you guys a little info on Alpha Brain from Onnit. Listen, Alpha Brain is a safe and natural supplement that helps support memory, focus, and cognitive function. Sound too good to be true? Well, the Boston Center for Memory found otherwise when it conducted a double-blind study showing its effectiveness. Alpha Brain has been the secret weapon of champion athletes and business professionals for years, and now it's available for you to try free by going to onnit.com/Steve. All you have to do is pay $4.99 for shipping, and they'll send you a 30-count bottle of Alpha Brain right away. This is the same 30-count bottle of Alpha Brain that sells on onnit.com for $34.95, and through this special offer, you can get it just by paying $4.99 for shipping. It's gluten-free, caffeine-free, made of earth-grown ingredients, and most importantly, it does work. Onnit is only able to offer a limited number of free bottles per day, so go get your free bottle of Alpha Brain now by going to onnit.com/Steve. That's onnit.com/Steve to get your free bottle of Alpha Brain now. Coming right back with my buddy, Ted Fowler 361.
Hi there, my name is Susie Schuster.
And I'm Rich Eisen.
We're teaming up once again in the studio with our new podcast, Not Just Sports, with Susie Schuster and Rich Eisen on PodcastOne Sports.
In case you're wondering what this show's about, sometimes we're not just sports.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
And that we actually like being in each other's company
do.
enough to work together and
I think
have
so.
3 kids.
That's why we haven't spent enough time together that we're sitting here at Podcast One. So we're sportscasters and we're parents, so we'll talk sports and maybe parental guidance will be suggested every now and then.
I would hope so, because this is not an X-rated podcast.
No,
this
that's
is a
correct.
family-friendly podcast.
It is exactly that. So we're just going to be hanging out, talking sports and other stuff.
And I will try to educate you on all things in the NFL, because,
Thank you.
of course, behind every great man is a greater woman.
That's correct.
There you go.
Join us every Wednesday exclusively on Podcast One.
Subscribe today if you know is good for you on Apple Podcasts or at PodcastOne.com, or download it on the new Podcast One app.
This is Steve Austin, Unleashed.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. You heard my guest last Thursday. It was Ted Fowler 361. We never got to the questions you sent in because we were bullshitting, catching up with what's going on in Rockport and a few things about hunting. So we're back. And this time I'm going to answer, or Ted's going to answer, some of the questions that you guys sent in. Teddy, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Well, God damn it. First question is about hunting. Teddy, without the ranch in Texas, do you two plan on hunting together this winter? Also, Ted, any thoughts on doing your own podcast? You're a natural and are my favorite guest of Steve's by a mile. Take care and a swig of beer, and that comes from Glenn. Okay, Teddy, you're going to go hunting down in Mexico. You got any other plans to hunt down there in Texas?
You know what? Right now, I mean, with the storm going on, you know, I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. I mean, I will probably get invited out to some people's. Well, shit, I have been invited out to, you know, some of our old neighbors, you know, cool. Down there in Tilden. Yeah. You know, and it was like, man, I appreciate it, but you know, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to get down to the Lazy Fork. And I'm talking to those folks about that. And if I'm down there, well, then you got to come down there and hunt with me for about 3 or 4 days, because I've got a pretty good handle on that, if you know what I mean. So
no, dude. You know, and I mean that's cool. It's like, but there's so much shit going on where, you know, like we talked about earlier. You know, I need to force myself to take some time off. You know, and I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I need to take some time off just so I don't go stir crazy with the work.
Right. Yeah. Hey, Teddy, so we'll try to get down there and hunt in South Texas. And then the people that bought the ranch from me said, hey, man, if you want to come out here and hunt, I don't want to hunt. I just go out there and look at the deer. So I'm trying to, on the back end of that hunt, I want to go out there and just stay with those guys for about a day or two and look at the deer. Because, god dang, they send me a couple of pictures. And, dude, you know what we had down there. And holy smokes, man, it was 10 years in the making, and it really took off after Shithead left the ranch. We won't go into details about that, but goddamn, we had some good deer down there, and they got some good deer this year. So anyway, Ted's going to go down to Mexico. He's busy. We're going to try to get down there in Texas and do a little bit of hunting. Here's one. Teddy, you're a real saint for all you've done to rebuild your community. It's really great to have good people in the world like you. How is the rebuilding going? And other than the rebuilding, what do you do for leisure now since there's no more Broken Skull Ranch? Here's a suggestion. Maybe a Teddy Fowler podcast spinoff show called Jack and Trim, the Ted Fowler Chronicles.
I like where you're going with that.
That is from Scott over there in Fairfax, Virginia. We've heard all about the rebuilding process in last week's podcast. Teddy, what do you think about the logistics of you starting a podcast spinoff show called the Jack and Trim Show?
Oh, dude, you know what? I mean, it's fun sitting here talking to you. I just don't think that, you know, left to my own devices, if I was just to sit here, you know, like I listened to Bill Burr's podcast, and I mean, dude, he just sits there by himself and, you know, does his deal, man. I don't think I'm that entertaining. I don't think I have that ability. I mean, if I need a captive audience, I need somebody on the other end, you know, to feed off of. I don't think, you know, dude, if I was just sitting here in my living room with the Yeti mic, you know, the headset, yeah, fuck, I wouldn't want to listen to me, you know, so I know nobody else would want to. Yeah, I make a good co-host.
Yeah, but you know, when you're talking about a guy like Bill Burr, you're talking about a guy that's wired. I mean, he's one of the funniest guys on the planet. Yeah. So he's basically a professional comedian because that's what he specializes in, and that's the way his brain works. That guy is unbelievable. Shit, I'll never forget. Kristen and I went over to Manhattan Beach about a year ago after I had him on the podcast, and he said, "Hey, man, come on down. I got my show." And me and Kristen, we're homebodies. We don't like to get out, but I wanted to go support him. And so, God damn it, dude, I thought my fucking head was going to explode. I was laughing so goddamn hard at that guy. So, yeah, I mean, he's just a natural, and that's the way he's wired. And they're asking about your leisure time, Teddy. I don't imagine right now that you have any leisure time.
Dude, you know what? After work, like we spoke the other night, I got home when you called. It was like 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and I was driving home, and you called, and you were like, you know, goddamn, dude, short day, you know, because I had been, you know, I'm working till dark almost every day, you know, but I'll get home in time to hit a few golf balls, you know, and it's my golf game's improved now that all the trees are out of the way. You know, I shoot some arrows, stuff like that, but really, dude, I mean, I'm just covered up with work, and when I get home, I do more paperwork. I eat dinner, like tonight, frozen pizza, a couple of Jack and Cokes, and then it's off to bed and get up tomorrow morning, and we start a roof first thing tomorrow morning. So I'm running and gunning. There's not too much leisure stuff going on right now, but hopefully it'll catch up.
Hey man, here's one from Matthew down there in Auburndale, Florida. He says, "Hey, does it feel weird for you and Ted to not be gearing up for your usual work at the Broken Skull Ranch this year? I'm gonna miss the great podcast for sure." Hey Matthew, I appreciate that, and because it's always fun sitting there shooting the breeze with Teddy. He's one of my best friends in the world. So I'll start that one off. Yeah, it is weird. And I was just in a kitchen the other day, and I was talking to Kristen. I said, man, it's just different. And I got this hunt coming up in Nevada, and I'm looking forward to it. But, man, I love the whitetail deer. I think the whitetail is just whitetails are the king for me, and I'll see about the mule deers coming up here in the near future. But, man, right about this time of the year is when I'm spooling up, and my whole year is geared toward getting work done, because I am going to take off November, December, and the first week of January to go down to the Broken Skull Ranch and first get a bunch of goddamn work done, because we had that place looking like a park, and it was all of us working together. But then two, man, that's deer season. And so, man, that's the time that, I set aside for myself to go out there and do what I love to do and look at deer and, take care of the numbers, because you have to. So it has been weird for me, because that's what I've been doing for 10 years, and I'm not going to be doing it this year. And right now, as we were talking about, in the last podcast, we have a couple of hunts here or there. But I'm going to have to find a new way to occupy, those 2 months of the year, because I've already told, my agents, I said, here's my deal. I don't own my ranch anymore, but because November and December are carved out for me, I'm still on that schedule. So they know that I'm tied up until January. Has it been as busy as you are? It's probably a different situation because of the storm and everything. You've probably been too busy even to think about deer season.
Oh, no, dude. I wake up in the morning and it's starting to cool off, and I sit back and I think, I'm like, man, I'd be mowing like a motherfucker right now. Mm-hmm. And I'd be, I miss photographing all of the deer and posting all the pictures, the deer in velvet, and, seeing the fawns drop, in July, stuff like that. Yeah, dude, no, I miss all of that stuff. And, the whole of the deer season, dude, it was, although you and I do two different things during the year, man, when deer season came about, dude, we were just two guys, just two buddies, just hanging out. And I saw a side of you that people don't see, and you saw a side of me that people don't see. We were just all about deer and all about growing big deer and having fun. And just the camaraderie and the stupid shit we did, and the laughing and the cutting up and the fucking around. It's like, man, if regular people saw us during those 2 months, man, I don't know about you, but that'd blow my gimmick, You know what I mean? Dude, we were just two buddies, just, hanging out.
But you nailed it, man,
yeah.
Dude. Especially because here's the thing. We'd always come back from the hunt, whether it's a morning hunt, particularly in the evening hunt, because that's when it's dark, and whether, one or both of us had a deer, or we're just meeting back at the barn to park our mules, it was like, and we'd send text messages, while we were in the deer stand. But for the most part, we maintained radio silence, because, dude, you're hunting. That's just like the holy grail. You don't fuck around. Now, if you got a monster out there, you say, dude, I got a fucking monster. And then that's kind of the way it goes. But when we would always meet after the hunts, it was the same old thing. Both kind of just sidle on up. Well, goddamn, what'd you see? Or, goddamn, you're not going to believe this. Or you'd always say, hang on, let me let that motorcycle pass, you motherfucker. Slow the fuck down. It's a goddamn residential neighborhood, you cocksucker. Fuck Ted Fowler, 361's on under the line. I'm trying to do a podcast. Fucking Los Angeles. I need to be in South Texas. And you'd always say, goddamn, dude, I filmed a hell of a fight. And when you start describing how these fights are going down, and then we always have video proof because we videoed everything and took pictures. So it was always fun to reconvene after the evening hunt and just trade stories. And dude, you know how it is. Sometimes it's just slower than fuck. And you're thinking, man, I'm going to see the biggest deer of my life. And you don't see shit. You get smoked. And then other times, I mean, you have deer crawling out of fucking woodwork. And so there's always a story to tell, after the evening hunt.
Yeah. Dude, I remember pulling up to the cleaning station, and I forget who was there. You were there, and with somebody else, and I can't for the life of me remember who it was. And you said to me, you go, well, dude, what did you see? And I picked up my camera, and I opened the viewfinder, and I showed you about 5 or 6 pictures of a fucking cardinal. And I go, yeah, that's how my hunt went, because I didn't see fuck all. I'm over there taking pictures of songbirds, and you're sitting there shaking your head like, God damn. No, dude, but you're absolutely right. I mean, we were on the same page every evening. It was, just, looking at what we'd created, Yeah, it was very cool.
Hey, dude, there's a question from Todd over in Australia. I appreciate you listening to the show, Todd. He says, Teddy, you spent plenty of time with Steve out at the ranch. What's the funniest moment that's occurred where you've just said to yourself, quote, unquote, really, man? Swig of whiskey to the working man. I hope everything in Rockport is on the mend. Todd from Australia. Teddy, when is there time when, well, first of all, let me go back to you taking pictures of that fucking cardinal. I ribbed Ted for the goddamn rest of the season about redbirds, cardinals, whatever the fuck you want to call them. I rode his ass for a solid 3 weeks over that series of pictures. Boy, you talking about fucking ribs. So I was talking about Boone and Crockett cardinals, or did you see any good cardinals? So
I mean, goddamn, I'm in the middle of this fucking ranch. I'm not doing anything different, and all of a sudden, I'm a leper in this fucking deer stand, and nobody's coming out. Nobody's coming out. Like, they didn't hear the feeder go off. I parked the buggy right next to the feeder. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. No, getting back to the funniest thing that, dude, it was after your knee surgery, and you came over. Remember, you were walking around, doing your rehab. You came over and you were like, dude, we're going to, take a walk on the all-weather road. And I was like, yeah, dude, I'll go. Because we were working out hot and heavy, doing all of our shit, and you were trying to rehab your knee. And because I'm a longer leg than you, you're doing the best you can to keep up, and I'm just walking. And dude, you always drag your feet anyway.
Well, that's from getting dropped on my head. It fucked up my goddamn nervous system. But yeah, to your point, correct.
Dude, you know where we were at.
Okay, also, I walk like a 3-toed sloth, so go ahead.
Dude, we're on the West 405, heading down to the Carrizo, and you got that goddamn Moses walking stick with you, and you catch an edge, and you fucking go down, and you rolled like you were in the ring. You fucking rolled and you popped up, never missed a step, and just kept on walking. And I was like, holy fuck. I mean, I figured you were going down for the count, and you just tucked his shoulder, did a complete roll, and stood up and kept on going. And I was just in shock. I thought, man, if this big motherfucker goes down, I'm going to have to go back and get the buggy, because I can't fire him and carry him, from here to the goddamn fence.
Dude, I remember that like it was yesterday. I caught a rock or something. I think.
Yeah, you did.
I think I picked my feet up about a cunt hair off the ground to take one step to the next. Not two cunt hairs. Tell me.
Another story too.
Not 2 cunt hairs, not 3, but I shuffle. Sometimes I sit there and watch the Broken Skull Challenge. I'm thinking, God damn, dude, you need to learn how to walk. You've been walking for 52 years, and when you had the BMF walk coming down that ramp in the WWF, you was one bad motherfucker, but I don't use that walk in my real life. I shuffle my feet. I caught that rock. I'll never forget it. I was going down, And it happens so goddamn fast. When you fall, it's a very violent thing, especially when you're about to fall on an all-weather road, and it's hard and rocky. And I knew I was going to just eat it if I didn't tuck and roll. And, dude, all of my professional wrestling training, basically getting paid to get, knocked down for a living and get up and feed a comeback, I just did what was natural to me. I took that forward roll. I mean, it wasn't a forward roll like you would see some acrobat do in a circus. Dude, I just tucked that shoulder, rolled with it. And also, dude, you and me, we'd been working out, pounding the iron. We've been out there mowing in tractors, doing fucking man's work, hanging out, cleaning deer, drinking whiskey. I'm hanging out with my bud. I'm not going to go down and like the Titanic. Dude, I got my pride at stake here. I took a bump.
I'm falling and I can't get up.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say, dude, I wasn't going to stick that arm out there so you can give me a hand up. Hey, dude, could you help a brother up? So I kind of had to go with it. So, yeah, it was my instincts. It was me being a man, but it was also about me not wanting to get embarrassed by walking down the road and tripping in front of my goddamn buddy. Kyle from Brisbane, Australia says, what's the funniest hunting story with Steve? Dude, because I think, I love my funniest hunting stories. I don't know about funny or hunting, but as hunting related was, dude, just dealing with all the yellow jackets and getting my ass beat up by those. But do you have because, I mean, there's not too many funny things to me that happen during hunting. Is there a funny hunting moment for you?
No, dude, because we didn't hunt together, except when I was trying to shoot bullwinkle that one year. But other than that, man, it was work. You know what I mean? You went and did your thing, and I went and did my thing, and then we met in the middle. I mean, we rarely, I bet we didn't sit in a blind together, but 5 or 6 times.
Dude, at the most. And here's the thing about this, and you can expand upon this, Teddy. There's something about, okay, if you're hunting in South Texas, any ranch can speak for itself, and most ranches in South Texas, you're hunting from a box blind. That's just the way it is. When you get to that deer stand, there's something about that time that I valued because I love being alone. And that's probably why we're such good friends, because you love being alone too. Yeah. But we both know we have work to do. You do your shit, I do mine. And then we come together at the end, whether we're drinking together, cleaning deer together, laughing together, walking together, working out together, whatever. But just that time in a box, you just don't want to spend, not just with another man, your buddy. Not even, even like sitting with my wife. I rarely sat with Kristen the whole time I own that ranch. It's just the most fun to me sitting there with nobody else to bother me or my thoughts as I sit there and look for deer. Would you agree?
Oh, dude, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we were, you and I, we could sit in the house together watching the same show and not talk to each other. Right. And that wasn't, that's not you being pissed at me or me being pissed at you or being antisocial. That's just how we were. Watching UFC, and we don't say nothing until something happens and we look at each other and we're like, goddamn. And that was it. That was all you needed to say. Same thing with the deer hunting, man. I don't go and you don't go to a deer blind to sit there to bullshit, man. You're alone with your thoughts. You're looking at the animals. You're thinking about the ranch and deer hunting and, what we can do to make it better, where we're at. And man, you just chill, and then, you and I are a lot alike in that regard where, dude, we've been next to each other for hours and not spoken just because that's how we are. Yeah.
Dude, here's the thing, because I'm super picky when I'm sitting in a deer stand. the few times that I've hunted with my father, who I love dearly, and he's 81 years old now, and he's actually my stepfather. He's the one that turned me on to hunting, when I was a kid. And I will never forget tramping behind him in the woods with my brother Scott and Kevin behind him, and him looking back and always putting that finger in front of his mouth telling us to shut the fuck up and not step on every stick in the way. I love my father, but man, when if we were trying to hunt a particular deer or whatever, my dad blowing his nose, coughing, clearing his throat, whatever it was, or scratching his head, he could move around. And, those deer are very smart, but also, dude, it's a high fence environment, and they're not quite as wild as everything else. But they kind of know what's going on, right? But dude, when I'm hunting with someone, whether, it's anybody, it could be anybody, but when they start moving, I'm like allergic to movement. And so I'm just very specific. And so when the other motherfucker in the deer stand, no matter who it is, when they start moving, because it's my dad, I don't want to say anything. Now, if I was hunting with my wife, Chris, I'd say, shh, kind of easy on the movement, easy on the movement. You're still, we barely hunting together. Dude, you know how it is, but that fucking, is there any other pet peeve that you would have other than movement?
No, dude. I mean, unless somebody wanted to sit there and talk to you.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah. Dude, what do you think about, this? Dude, shut the fuck up. We're hunting. I swear to God, just sit there, yeah. Dude, you remember the story and I love your father to death. You remember the story that he said when he was sitting down at Johnny Cash, and he said, them damn hogs come out to the feeder. So I stuck my hat out the window, and I was waving my hat in my arm, trying to get them to go away.
And my dad's telling me that he's trying not to make any sound so he didn't scare the potential deer that would come to the stand. And so he's got his arm stuck out, so the deer probably in the brush looking at the deer stand with the 81-year-old dude with his arm stick out, waving his hat, sticking out the deer stand, trying to scare the pigs off so they ain't coming to the deer stand. So, and also that just creates more heads up for the person that hunts the stand after him. But dude, I remember that story. And
I did good times.
Like I
you
said,
gotta laugh at it.
Well, yeah, and my dad was such a big part of that ranch. I mean, him and his buddies, his lifelong buddies, and my Uncle Donnie would come down there, and those dudes, they're a whole nother podcast in and of themselves. But hey, let's move along and get to some of these questions, because I don't want to talk about hunting all the time. Here's a question that is non-hunting. Hey, Steve and Ted, if Ted would get a tattoo, which one would he pick? You got three choices here, Ted. A Diablo sandwich and a Dr. Pepper because he's in a goddamn hurry. Or B, blue panties. Or C, handcuffs and a bottle of tequila with a Mexican flag. Remembering all your great stories and podcasts, Swig of Broken Skull IPA from Austria. Okay, all the way from Austria, Teddy, what's it going to be? A Diablo sandwich and a Dr. Pepper because you're in a goddamn hurry? Blue panties or handcuffs and a bottle of tequila with a Mexican flag?
Dude, I'd probably go with the handcuffs and the bottle of tequila and the Mexican flag. That while the other two are riveting, the third, my choice was in fact life altering. So.
Because you were were you in handcuffs that time you went to jail in Mexico?
Yeah. I was the only one in handcuffs. Yeah, between me and Tommy and Doug, they threw me in handcuffs because I was the biggest. Yeah, threw me in the middle of the back seat.
You got the 6'5" sleeve stack factor to you, man. Yeah,
good. You know me, I'm a lover, not a fighter, man. I'm cool. Yeah, dude, you ain't got to hit me with that nightstick. Nothing. Just ask me. I can comply.
Dude, but when you got those Ray-Bans with the goddamn chrome screens on them, and you're like the man with no eyes from Cool Hand Luke, and you're 6'5", them motherfuckers like, hey, this summit is going to be trouble. Put him in the handcuffs.
No, they're gonna send a message real quick. Yeah, that motherfucker kept jabbing me with that nightstick too. It was like, dude, I'm serious. There's nothing wrong with my hearing. I mean, a translation were a little iffy, but if you just point, I will go there. You ain't got to keep jabbing me with that fucking club of yours. Yeah.
Hey, Teddy, here's one from Chester, United Kingdom, from Rob. He said, hey, Steve, what's the 411 on Teddy's love life? Need an update. All right. Teddy,
Dude,
it's not for me to pry. It's not for me to pry. I know you're busy, but this motherfucker from Chester, UK, wants to know. How's the love life?
Dude, I don't know if you know it, but my love life also succumbed to the hurricane. I'm waiting for my check from FEMA so I can, so I can buy something. Yeah. I'm waiting to hear from my insurance adjuster. See if I can afford a piece of ass.
God damn.
Dude, that's why when that guy asked me if I would go down to Old Mexico to deer hunting, I said, hell yeah. You know what else is south of the border, baby? Dude, and after that last knife injury, I've had a tetanus shot. I am good to go.
Dude, I'm laughing with you, not at you.
Yeah, no, dude, the love life of Ted Fowler 361 has been put on about a 60-day hiatus right now. I'll give you a little 411 when we get off of the recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, here's one from Bloomington, Minnesota. Dude says, hey, Steve, if time, a question for both of you. I'm looking into getting a new full-size SUV to haul the family around in, specifically a Suburban. I can't decide to go 5.3 or 5.7 V8. In your opinion, which gets better fuel economy? Any recommendations? The Ted Fowler editions of the podcast are some of the best. I hope you guys can hook up for hunting. Makes for some great stories. Well, Eric, coming from Bloomington, Minnesota, appreciate you sending the question to the show. Dude, I'm not aware that they even make a 5.7 liter V8. If you're talking about a brand new SUV, they're still making that 5.3. It's rated at 355 horsepower. I don't know the torque. I was looking for a Suburban. That's what I was going to buy for our dog hauler when I got off of the truck thing. So I got a Yukon XL. And I got the 6.2 liter. That thing has 420 horse. I wanted a Suburban, but the Suburban does not come with the 6.2 motor. That's why I had to go Yukon XL. And not only that, I had to go Denali mode because the 6.2 is not available in the other two trim levels. No pun intended, Teddy. So that's my story. The 5.3 that they're making these days is a great motor, 355 horse. I'm pulling trailers with UTVs and an RV behind it. So I wanted the 6.2. I went Yukon XL, and I went Denali. That is the answer to that question. Teddy is not in the new SUV market. He's driving a truck.
No.
All right, let's take a quick pause for the calls. I'm going to jump in here, give big ups to a sponsor who makes this podcast possible, and that's folks over at TrueCar. Now, there's something about TrueCar a lot of people don't know, that TrueCar can also help you find a used car. In fact, there's over 700,000 pre-owned vehicles available from TrueCar certified dealers nationwide. Whether you're looking to buy new or used, TrueCar gets you upfront pricing information that empowers, letting you see what other people paid for the car you want so you can know what a fair price is and feel confident. And with TrueCar, you can connect with the local certified dealer of your choosing to make the process quick and easy. When you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Some features are not available in all states.
The Serial Killer Podcast, hosted by me, Thomas Warburg Thune, is the podcast dedicated to serial killers, who they were, what they did, and how. Join me as I sit down bi-weekly to bring you, dear listener, into the dark land of serial murder and psychopathy. The show goes into graphic detail on the most infamous and lesser-known serial killers from around the world, with each episode covering one unique serial killer. So far, the show has covered serial killer superstars such as BTK, Jeffrey Dahmer, and the Yorkshire Ripper, and lesser-known killers such as Elias Abuelazan and Anatoly Onoprienko. Be advised, this show is not for children as it takes you deep into the twisted world of ultimate evil. You can find me exclusively at PodcastOne.com or on the new Podcast One app. Also, don't forget to rate and review on Apple Podcasts.
This is Steve Austin Unleashed.
Here's one from Edgar. He says, first of all, I will dearly miss the deer season podcast every holiday season. I look forward to both of them. My question is, Ted, I'm looking into getting into hunting. What firearm training would you recommend?
Man, just a general hunter safety course for starters. That'll get you semi-proficient with a firearm, man, and then just get a plinking rifle. As stupid as it sounds, if you've never hunted before, just get a 22 and go to a range and shoot and learn proper gun etiquette. And if it's something you dig, shoot a bunch. Steve, you and I are the same, man. I mean, I love shooting guns, any kind of gun. Whether it's a shotgun, a rifle, a pistol, man, I just dig shooting. It's to me, it's fun.
Man, I don't think that you really need to. I'm searching more for different questions, so I was listening to you as you were speaking and going through my emails. Man, I don't really know about, like you said, Ted, a hunter safety course is a good place to start. And if doing what you want to do requires a hunter safety certificate, it's a great course to take. But man, if you have a buddy that's very proficient with safety and knowledge of guns and shooting, I mean, dude, if you just have a buddy and you can get out somewhere where you can, safely shoot and, targets and learn, safety first with all the protocol of handling a firearm and never pointing it at anybody and all that other stuff, I don't know that you really necessarily need anything unless you're going to go hunting. Like, Teddy, many years ago, we were part of the American Sportsman's Club here in South Texas, and they had properties all over Texas and I think in various states, and that's where we grew up deer hunting, going on these different ranches with my father. And you had to take the hunter safety course that you're talking about. And, hunting in Nevada, when I started putting in my tags, they wanted that hunter safety certificate. So,
correct,
dude, I changed my name from Williams to Austin. So Kristen got on the computer because I was going to have to take the whole course over again, although I've been hunting for 40 years.
You're right.
So she found my old hunter safety certificate. They got it remailed to me in my current name. And, that's how I was able to put in for my tags in Nevada. So, I had to do my due diligence. On that. So, yes, Teddy, that is a great course to take. It will help you hunt in some of the different states that require that. And I'm glad I did that so many years ago. But, dude, if you just got a buddy that can show you what's up and is very knowledgeable, I think you're good there, too.
Oh, you know what? I have to provide that information to Utah when I put in for archery mule deer hunts there. So, yeah, there are a number of different states because I put in Utah, Arizona, Nevada, Idaho, Wyoming. Of course, I haven't got drawn for shit. Thank you very much. But a number of those states require you to have, if you're born, after a certain date, a hunter safety course, which, dude, it's a couple, 2-3 weekends. It's a pain in the ass, but it gets your foot in the door. No, but you're absolutely right. I mean, if you've got some friends that that hunt, man, tag along. Go ask them if you can just glass for them. My father didn't hunt. He was a big fisherman. My Uncle Bill was a cop. He was the one that hunted, and he took me under his wing. And I started going and hanging out with him. And then other guys that I played college ball with and softball with, they were all hunters. And I tagged along with them and I learned and I got the bug. And then, it just went on from there. So, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. If you've got people that you can hang out with to learn how to hunt, dude, tag along. It's you'll either love it or you'll hate it.
Hey, dude, here's a question for you before we get to the next question on the emails. Are you still trying to do any archery stuff?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get out, every second or third day, and fling some arrows. I got a real nice bow. Dude, this company is badass. They're called Expedition. I've got their X7 or, whatever it is. But Expedition Archery makes a badass bow. Dude, it's better than the Matthews bow that I shoot. They sent me one. Dude, it is sick. Yeah.
So are you trying to get on any places with you? Are you putting in for archery tags?
Yeah, dude, I put in for archery elk and antelope in Arizona. I put in for archery I put in for archery antelope in Wyoming with Jay Levine, a lawyer buddy of mine. Didn't get drawn for any of that stuff. And then I put in with Mitch for every single tag they had. All of that was gun. I didn't get nothing.
Dude, I was lucky because it was a landowner tag, and his friend offered him first dibs on it, so he called me up, and that's the only way I got drawn. I've been trying to get drawn for right at 3 or 4 years now, and I ain't drawn shit either. So, dude, man, going up to Wyoming, that's a pretty good haul to go hunting.
Oh, yeah. But you know what, man? I'm jonesing to shoot an antelope because I've never shot one before. And I'm all about an adventure. I want to shoot a bighorn sheep. I want to shoot an antelope. I want to shoot a big ass mule deer. I'm all about that. And Mitch and I are talking about going to Argentina next year.
Oh, dude, you talking about doing the dove hunting thing?
Yeah, half of the time dove hunting, and then do some fishing. They got world-class peacock bass down there. Do 5 or 6 days down there. Yeah.
Dude, I've had so many guys say, hey, man, you've got to go to Argentina with me and do the dove hunting thing. And it sounds phenomenal because you're in a field, I'm assuming, and just the doves are so proficient and so numerous. And they're also a pain in the ass to the people that live there because there's so many of them that they need to knock some of them out of the sky. And so you're sitting there and you have, you're the shooter, and then you have someone, loading your guns for you. You're usually going back and forth between two, and then the other guys, getting your birds. But dude, the only part about that whole equation that bothers me, Teddy, is flying to Argentina to do it. Fuck. I mean, every now and then down at the ranch, we get covered up with and dude, it ain't like Argentina because that's where everybody goes. And you're a bird hunter. You hunted more birds at the ranch than I ever did. And it ain't even the same ballpark. But man, I just don't want to make the trek to get there. You still having some adventure in your system, being a single guy, I can understand it. But for me, it sounds like a great idea. But ex-nay on the trip to Argentina for me.
Dude, you know what? That's like one of those bucket list deals. I get you. Because I wanted to shoot a black bear with an arrow. Notice I didn't say bow and arrow. Right. I wanted to shoot a black bear with an arrow. And I shot 2 of them. I was like, dude, I got that out of my system. I would like to shoot a mountain lion with either a crossbow or a bow, but I'm kind of on the bubble about that. But I want to go down to Argentina just to experience it. I'd like to go down to Australia and catch, 1,000-pound black marlin. There's a few things on my bucket list that I want to do once. I don't want to make an annual trip down to Argentina because I think sitting in a field shooting hundreds of doves would get redundant and boring. But I'll go down there one time.
Hey, dude.
Depends on how the nightlife is. Let me put that disclaimer.
Jesus Christ. Hey, man, you mentioned a sheep or a ram. I wanted to pass on to you real quick. On my Instagram, I started following 2 wildlife photographers that I would recommend that you follow. One of them is Rough Country Images, and you spell Rough, R-U-F, in Rough Country Images, and that's the guy's last name. And man, he's got a picture. I'm looking at 2 doll rams laying on the side of a mountain, and man, those things are just spectacular. The eyes on those things are unbelievable, and their vision is incredible. So they're badass on Instagram, and the other new dudes that I followed on Instagram, a guy named Doyle Moss Photography, lots of mule deer, cool stuff like that. So check out Doyle Moss Photography as well. Anyway, on to the next question, but just some badass stuff for you to watch. Corey Brake sends in an email that says, hey, Steve, longtime fan here in Newfoundland, Canada. Man, I wrestled up there in that part of the world many years ago. Just wondering if you or Teddy has ever tried Crystal Head vodka. Love the shows, especially ones with Teddy Fowler. Well, I'll go ahead and start off on that. I did a little bit of Crystal Head vodka back in the day because it was in a cool bottle, and it ain't bad stuff. It ain't nothing to write home about. It's not the best in the world. It's not the worst in the world, and that's the bottom line. But it makes for a cool bottle. At the end of the day, if you want one to put on your shelf, it is what it is. Vodka, I won't say vodka is vodka because vodka is not vodka. I go for the good stuff when I'm drinking it. But, I've had it. Teddy, you want to comment on Crystal Head or not?
Dude, I don't drink vodka. I mean, every once in a while.
Well, you do the Bloody Marys with us
Mary.
down at the Broken Skull
Yeah.
Ranch with us every now and then. But, I'm running down there. I'm running Kettle One. I'm running Grey Goose. And I'm running Tito's from Austin.
Yeah, dude, but I'm such a creature of habit. And I don't want to stray. I mean, I drink my dark beer and I drink Jack and Coke. And the only time... Dude, I never sat over there, in number 2 and made margaritas or made Bloody Marys. I always went over to your place and partook, but left to my own devices, just like right here in Rockport. Dude, I'm Jack and Coke.
Man, I tell you what, but going back to the vodka to get on that Crystal Head stuff, man, I tell you what, my dad would have 2 of his best friends. His brother Donnie, my uncle, would come down, and my dad's longtime friend, they've been friends for over 50 years, Bryant Stone from San Antonio, Texas would come down, and man, they had free reign at the place. My dad had his Bronco. They had their schedule. My dad was like the boss of all the older guys, and they were known by us as the Apple Dumpling Gang. And god dang, there was a part of the day where they would either drink Bloody Marys or they would ride around and drink a couple of Bud Lights after the morning hunt, and then they would take their nap after they ate lunch, which is usually soup. And then they get ready for the evening hunt. But when they decided to do the Bloody Marys, and this went on for 10 years, my dad, and I don't know if it was Bryant bringing the vodka or it was my dad, they knew at that time if my dad was going to bring me a bottle, he brought me Grey Goose. But if it was them, it was Taka, TAAKA, or whatever, some of the lowest end shit that cost about $5 for a half gallon. That's what those motherfuckers were drinking. So I'd sneak in there, and my dad was world famous for his Bloody Mary mix, which I learned to make from him from scratch. And I since graduated to, Mr. and Mrs. T's and throwing some of my own ingredients in there. But goddamn, when he showed up, it wasn't with no Crystal Head. It wasn't with no goddamn Kettle One, Tito's, or Grey Goose. It was Taka or something cheaper and shittier than Taka.
Dude, that plastic half-gallon fucking jug, it was like, good Lord. Did they give you a free hat with that when you bought it? It's like, holy balls. Yeah, no, dude, but your father, he whipped up some good Bloody Mary mix. I'll give him that.
The thing about it is, you go do that, and it's like they would do the Bloody Mary things, and they knew full well that they was fixing to take a nap. Yeah. And they did. Well, because it was my dad, and we both love my dad, and my dad's my dad, we'd drink a couple with him. But it's like, man, we still had work to do. So I was either going to go get on the tractor, or Teddy was going to get on the tractor, or Teddy was going to go work on the water troughs or fix float valves or whatever the fuck there was to be done. Break out a chainsaw, repair one of the, anything in the barn that needed repairing. So it's kind of like, yeah, on one hand, and it's funny because you're at a deer lease or you're at my ranch, you're in the middle of nowhere, you can do anything. And so, you go out there and all of a sudden you're trying to do a work-oriented task. You got a little bit of a buzz on. It doesn't create a very safe environment. Dude, can you hear the sirens behind me?
I can hear that. What is that, a fire truck?
God damn it, dude. Ever since I've been... Listen to this. Dude, I'm in Los Angeles. I'm at 317 Gimmick Street, my little recording studio. I got the front door open. I got a screen door with a lock engaged on it because you never know what's going to happen here in the main streets of Los Angeles. Dude, I've been hearing this shit ever since I got back from Nevada. And I was like, boy, this is when I really need to go to the Broken Skull Ranch to decompress and get away from all the sirens, helicopters, and all this horse shit. Holy fuck, dude. It's unbelievable. I know y'all got sirens and shit over there, but you hear this shit all day long and all night long. And because of where my house is located, dude, there is a helicopter that will circle almost, at least once every 10 days. I'm not going to exaggerate on that. Sometimes once every or twice a week, a major intersection, and just circle like a motherfucker, a vulture or a buzzard over a gut pile with the fucking Q-beam spotlight. You're talking about probably a 20 million candle power or better. And I'm like out in my backyard, fucking really? And then there's the one helicopter, which is a black and white one, when Kristen's out laying by the swimming pool in her red bikini that will circle the house. And I'm thinking, man, really, dude? I'm okay with the medical or the emergency with trying to control the mean streets of Los Angeles at nighttime with the spotlight. But when you're circling my pool because my wife's in the backyard with her red bikini on, I got to draw the line there, okay? I'm tapping out of Los Angeles.
Girls Gone Wild, Chopper.
Hey, man, let's get on to the next question. Teddy, this is from Matt in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Thank you all the way to St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada for listening to the show and putting up with all of my bullshit. What's your dream hunting destination? And let's assume for this that you don't mind the hassle of traveling. Okay, well, let's take Argentina and dove hunting and fishing off of the table because Teddy already expounded upon that. Teddy, a dream hunt or location for yourself?
Man, I would love, honestly, I'd love to go up to Canada during the dead ass of winter and all that snow and hunt one of them big ass 300-pound whitetail, or go back to Argentina and shoot a big old red stag.
Really?
Yeah. Dude, I'd like to fletch a red stag, shoot it with a bow. Yeah.
So what is about the red stag?
Oh, dude, they're like, it's like an elk on steroids, man. I mean, just, more points, same antler configuration, same body style. When they call it growling, the noise they make is just, raise the hair on the back of your neck. It's just like an elk on steroids. Yeah, I think it'll be cool.
Hey, dude, the other day I was in Nevada at Mitch's house, and he was getting ready to take Andrea on an elk hunt, which as we record this podcast, they're hunting right now. And, yep. Man, he had his bugle call. Dude, I've never seen one in person because I've never hunted elk. And I guess the thing was about a foot and a half long. And, man, he went out in the driveway, and that somebody started bugling. And I'm like, motherfucker. That sounds just like a goddamn elk that I've heard in the movies on television.
Yeah.
So, dude, it damn near raised the hair on the back of my neck. It was just him blowing a call. And I started studying the elk more than I've ever really researched it because, dude, I've seen elk, but I've never hunted elk. But, come to understand that those are some badass, wily, super smart motherfuckers. So they're pretty goddamn interesting.
Oh, dude, elk hunting is, coming from Arizona, that was the predominant game animal there was elk. And being a bow hunter in September when they're in the rut, dude, the rut is the rut, man. Everybody puts their guards down. Plus, you've got those bulls bugling, getting down in the bottom of a bowl, bugling, and you can hear it forever. And to ease up on them, yeah, dude, it is a real kick in the pants. I run an arrow through that 1 6x6 I got to put on the wall of my house. Dude, 17 yards away from that guy, bugling his brains out, and to be that close to an animal that's 800-900 pounds. Yeah, dude, it is a gas. Elk hunting is very cool. Very cool.
Man, today, as we're talking right now, I just got a text message in, and earlier in the day I texted Mitch, any luck? And today is day 2 of, I think they're out there for 6 to 9 days. I think they're out there for a 9-day hunt. And his daughter was looking maybe to hopefully get one sooner rather than later because she works her ass off. She wants some days off with her boyfriend. And, boy, right now, they're having a tough time getting a shot. So he sent me this text message. He says, made a good sneak on 2 big bulls. Trouble is, they went into timber at 10,000 feet, and the only way in to get a shot was across a shale slide. Noisy as heck. They slipped out on us, going back to the hideout at the waterhole tomorrow. So, dude, they're out there. They had a couple potential elk in sight, but, dude, at 10,000 feet, slipped out on them, and that's altitude, by the way. So, dude, here's the thing. The other month ago, Kristen and I were in Mammoth Lakes, and we were at about 8,000 feet. And I started wondering, when I get out on this mule deer hunt, how was I going to do if I was going to have any kind of altitude problems? And obviously, I did fine. But just from the text message, it sounds like those damn elks are pretty slippery.
Dude, when you get up there, you're not going to be going fast. You know what I mean? You'll see the elk, and the altitude is going to fuck with you. That is a given. Dude, you'll push it, you'll try to go too fast, and that's when you'll be clumsy and fall and, make a shit ton of noise. Dude, you got all day. And that's the difference between South Texas and hunting, there in Nevada. When you see those elk, all right, they're on the other side of the canyon. That's about a 2.5 hour trip over there.
Yeah.
Where before we would get in the buggy and just, ease over there and wait for them to cross our paths. Nothing is done fast because it is high altitude. You'll get tired. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Hey, Teddy, here's a final question. Hey, Steve and Ted, I got one for you. What's the dumbest shit you two have ever done while under the influence? Aliyah. Thanks, Aliyah, for the email. Jesus, Teddy, what's the dumbest shit we ever did together while under the influence, other than fucking with fire? No, and we weren't under influence, dude. That was straight up in the morning, mid-afternoon, trying to start that fire on that burn pile. What's the dumbest shit we ever done under influence? Dude, we were pretty cool out there.
Yeah, no, we were pretty cool. I think the dumbest thing that I can remember us doing was, remember when that big circuit breaker for the water well blew out, and we had to have your brother bring us one from Houston. And when he got there, you and I were on the whiskey and drove down to the Carrizo, and I looked at that breaker and I said, dude, I kind of sort of remember how this guy said to wire this thing back up. I mean, I think I do. And dude, I was fucked up, and you weren't feeling much pain. And I wired that breaker, and then we had to put it back into the service panel. And I remember I was thinking to myself, well, fuck, if this is where it's going to end, this is going to be it, because I'm no electrician. And I was trying to push that breaker in, and I was afraid I was going to, cross it up and get shocked. And I told you, I said, dude, do me a favor. Put your hands on my shoulders and push, because I was afraid to push it into the service panel, and I'm all discombobulated because the whiskey and shit. You grabbed a hold of me and you give me a shove, and then we pushed that breaker into the panel through the switch, and the water was working. I remember that. Because I was obviously more fucked up than you were.
Dude, now that you say that, I remember that story, and I was like, dude, one of the things that I don't fuck with is electricity.
It's electricity.
I don't know nothing about it. But I remember that, and we was trying to get the fucking water going, because every time you go down there, if there's anything that can go wrong, I mean, and there's everything it does, goddamn, when you own a ranch, but you just want water. You just want water, and all of a sudden you show up from a 1,500-mile journey, or whether you're driving a $125, it don't matter. When you get there and there ain't no water, there ain't no fucking water. And as like we were talking the other day, you get used to things. You just, when you lift up a lever, you want water. When you flip a switch, you want a light. You just expect things to happen because you're used to having them. And all of a sudden, when you're in the middle of nowhere and you just can't call a motherfucker to come 2 miles across town to fix your shit, you got to fix it yourself. You learn a lot about how things operate, but that's just one of the many headaches, hassles, and horse shit that go with owning or running or maintaining a piece of property.
Dude, I got another one for you. You may not remember this. When
what's new?
This was early on when you had bought the ranch, and everybody was inside, and you and I were just talking. I mean, we had just met, and we went outside, and you were drinking Crown, and I was drinking Jack, and we were standing out on the front porch at number 1. And we had, we were standing on the front porch of number 2.
Yep.
Because you hadn't got number 1 yet. And it was cold as balls. It was 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And we lifted the lid on the barbecue and started the barbecue up so we could stay warm. And you and I were sitting there talking, and you were telling stories about wrestling. And I was telling stories about playing baseball. And, dude, we were drinking like there was no fucking tomorrow. And you fixed a cocktail and took a step back, and you went ass over elbow over the cooler, threw your drink, and in the same fashion of tumbling on the road, you bounced up, opened up the cooler, fixed another cocktail, and kept on rolling. And we stood out there until everybody came outside because they heard the noise. They thought there was raccoons in the garbage. And it was you and me standing out there on the front porch, pissed drunk. And we went inside and left the barbecue burning, burned up all of the gas. And then the next morning, I got up and I was like, oh, man, I feel like a bag of dicks. I am wounded. I cannot work. I need to go back to Rockport and recover. And I went over to your place, and I was like, hey, dude, I got to go home. And you were sitting in the living room, and you were just pert and just bright-eyed. And you were like, all right, dude, man, thanks for all your help. And I turned around and walked out. I was like, motherfucker. I mean, my head feels like somebody is beating on it with a boat oar. And you are no worse for wear. And I'm just like, I have never been so hungover in my entire life. It's all I can do. I got to be drunk driving back to Rockport, you know? And I'm sitting there thinking, my God, he's fucking superhuman. And then, you know, you let it out, you know, later on. You're like, dude, I was crippled. I was crushed.
Dude, that's called the Kurt Hennig special. That's either that's the Kurt Hennig or the Barry Windham special. Those two guys could go out all night long and two of the greatest guys I ever met in the history of the business. Both guys, different personalities. Barry was kind of sarcastic and dry, would observe everything as a real car and four-wheel drive guy. And Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, was always in a good mood, always up for a rib, super quick-witted. Everybody loved him. But both those guys, man, when they got on the whiskey or whatever they were drinking, and it was always whiskey, dude, they could go like it was nobody's business. And the very next day, they would never sell anything because I truly think they were just those kind of, you know, warriors. Same thing when it came time to get in the ring at night, they were tip-top, whether they was going 15, 30, 40, 45, whatever they were asked to go, they were out there just like they were fucking professional athletes. So, dude, I was selling, but I wasn't going to let you see me sell. You know what I'm saying? I was doing the Barry Windham / Kurt Hennig special.
I remember driving home thinking, goddamn, I'm going to have to up my game. I'm going to hang out with this guy. It's like, goddamn.
You think, goddamn, I got to give me a couple of those knee braces.
Yeah, no, it was good times, though, man. It was good times.
Well, Teddy, let's wrap it up. I know, hell, as I'm sitting here in Los Angeles, California, it's 10 till 9 o'clock. It's 10 till 11 over there. You're heading back to work, rebuilding the city of Rockport. What kind of job you guys working on right now?
You know what? Tomorrow morning we are tearing off a roof in Fulton. And I've got my framing crew working in the country club, changing out a door and a window. So I'm running, you know, 2 different crews, bouncing back and forth, you know, just trying to make Rockport great again.
I'm laughing because of the punchline, but yeah. On the shoot, yeah, still trying to get Rockport back on his feet again.
Yeah.
Been down there many times back in the day. We were more of the Portacana crowd and that fishing crowd back when my dad was taking us down there South Texas going fishing, but we happened upon Rockport. And yeah, so my thoughts and my respect to everybody out there in Rockport in the rebuilding process. Teddy Fowler 361 can be found on social media. He's on Twitter and Instagram, Ted Fowler 361 if you want to follow him. And it's been great talking with you, Ted, and catching back up with you. Ted Fowler Construction down there in Rockport, running strong, not trying to plug his business, but he's down there rebuilding Rockport with everybody else and doing quality-ass work. Dude, it's good catching up with you again. I appreciate it.
Oh, man, no problem. It was good talking to you. Good luck on your hunt.
All right, everybody, give me the go-home cues. Time to wrap up this podcast and ride off in the sunset. And when I say ride off in the sunset, I will be out there in Humboldt County, Nevada, hunting mule deer with my brother-in-law, Mitch Bailey from Nevada Hunting Services. I'm looking forward to the hunting trip. I'll be sending pictures on my Instagram account, Steve Austin BSR on Instagram. Maybe I'll send a few on Twitter as well. Make sure you follow me there. Hey, man, set your DVRs for Broken Skull Challenge. This season is off the charts. CMT, Tuesdays, 10/9 Central. Check it out. Set your DVRs. And as far as all the shirts that I'm wearing on Broken Skull Challenge, they're all available at ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin. And I've got some badass shirts this year that I'm proud of. Hey, man, I got a beer out, folks. It's called Broken Skull IPA from El Segundo Brewing Company. You can find Broken Skull IPA at Whole Foods and Total Wines if you live in Cali. If you don't live in Cali, check out InsideTheCellar.com and see if they ship to your state. And if you're looking to get either the Cold Steel Broken Skull knife or the new Working Man's knife, you can get them at my new Amazon store. Amazon has the best price on both knives. Just go to Amazon.com/shop/Steve Austin. And I want to say one more thank you to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. And you can find all my sponsors at PodcastOne.com. Just click on the Killer Deals button at the top of the page and then click on the Steve Austin Show banner. Hey, folks, until next time, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
Download new episodes of Steve Austin Unleashed every Thursday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.